Because what if you thought about doing less and creating space for experiencing life as the actual whole point of life? That the doing isn't necessarily the purpose, it's the experiencing of what you've created. Welcome to the Love Your Brain podcast, the podcast designed for everyday people who are ready to hop off the negative thought hamster wheel and enjoy a less hostile environment in their own brains. Our brains are where we live our entire lives, and I'm on a mission to help people see that they have everything they need to make it a happier place to be. So join us for this episode of the Love Your Brain podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to this week's episode. Now, today I felt led to share just a quick and short episode with you, but stick around to the end and you will get to hear a clue about something coming soon. Now, I know a lot of what we talk about here on this podcast is a lot about doing. The things to do to feel better in your brain, the things that you can do to make your brain operate the way that you want. Lots of do. And although being productive and making improvements can feel really good, we don't often hear a lot in the media and out in life about the not doing, about doing less, about the importance of not being productive. And I think especially if you're someone listening to this, and I would guess you're probably someone who's a go-getter, striving to be better, to improve all areas of your life, to find hacks to be more efficient, to follow your passion and work towards bigger and better goals. But as rewarding as that is, there are actually a lot of benefits on the other side as well. I find that we can feel a bit triggered, though, by this idea of doing less, of doing nothing even. Like immediately we envision this person in our head who's just like a bump on a log. They're so lazy, they're wasting their life, they're letting themselves go because they don't care. It's just usually a yucky picture, the picture that we associate with doing less or doing nothing. But that is because in our culture, we tend to villainize doing nothing. We think it's worthless. And in some cases, we can even see it as destructive. Like if you aren't working on being better, then you're naturally somehow going to just start going in the opposite direction. You're going to get worse. But that is simply because we don't see a lot of examples around us of what that looks like to do nothing in a healthy way. Now, if you are someone who has traveled much abroad, I can almost guarantee you may have seen a different perspective on this, on people doing nothing or doing less, because so many other countries do this a lot better than we do in the US. They're okay with resting and with not doing. And oftentimes, in some cultures outside of the US, that's actually a big part of their overall time spent on this planet, is doing less and just being. But in the US, we just don't. We don't have this down very well. At least most of us don't. And a great way to take the temperature on this is if you see someone doing nothing and you feel a thought or emotion come up that immediately feels like, I would never do that, or I could never do that, then my friend, this episode is for you. So why is doing less important or doing nothing? Why is doing nothing important? Well, first and most important is because of its impact on our view of ourselves and our brain. So many of us have built this idea of who we are based off of what we do, what we've achieved, the education we've earned, the job we acquired, the sports we play, the things we've purchased. So many things that are associated with doing are what define who we see ourselves to be. But do you ever sit back and think, what if I stripped all of that away? How would I feel about who I am? What is my value outside of that? What is my value if I did none of that? Do I still have value in this world even if I did nothing? Well, the answer I will tell you right now is of course. Of course, we have value outside of doing. We have value just in being, not doing anything. Even if you never contributed a thing to the world, you still have value just because you are human. So it's important that from time to time, we just take a moment to strip away everything else, everything we have done or earned, and just sit with the idea that we have value even if we never did a thing. Because Well, first of all, that's the truth. But also, it helps to relieve some of that pressure we put on ourselves that we constantly need to be doing. And that constant striving for new things is associating our identity with doing, with the doing of things. And what we forget is that part of our purpose here on this planet is to experience this world around us. We are not just called to create, to do, but also to experience, to enjoy the beauty and all the feelings that this world offers. Because what is creating without feeling? Without the feeling, then we're creating for nothing. Because when you take any achievement you've worked towards, usually at its core, you are working towards it because of how you want it to feel. We usually work hard towards things because we want to feel a certain way, so we do the things to, in theory, get a feeling. But if you have been super busy doing all the things but never stopping to feel, did you actually miss the whole point? Like maybe when you dreamed of building a family, you wanted to experience the sounds of kids laughing in your home, or a feeling of that little one snuggling right into you with their sweet baby smell and their soft little hands. Or maybe you dreamed of having a bedroom someday that would be like a sanctuary for you, that you could feel cozy and safe and relaxed in your bed, all snuggled up in soft sheets and blankets, reading the books you love with a candle burning that's a scent that reminds you of something magical. Or maybe you always dreamed of living somewhere warm where any day of the week you could go outside and feel the sun on your face, enjoying the activities you love to do outdoors. Those are the things we are working towards in life. We are putting our time and effort into building dreams for ourselves that allow us to feel certain sensations that we've only dreamed of being a part of our life. So, why don't we allow ourselves the opportunity to actually feel and experience our life? The truth is, most of us can't feel a whole lot unless we stop doing so much. Because in order to fully feel, we have to slow down enough to experience it all, to take it all in, to let all of our senses experience the moment that we're in. We often have too much going on to be able to tap into all those small things happening in our bodies to really be able to experience it. But stopping and reflecting on how do I feel in my chest, in my throat, in my stomach in this moment? What are all the things that are happening in my body? What do my hands feel? What am I smelling? What does the air feel like on my face? What do I taste? How does it feel under my feet? What are the sounds that I'm hearing? What are my eyes seeing? There is truly so much to experience in each moment that we're living, especially in those moments we have worked so hard to achieve. Like being in a home that we love, that we have built, or sitting with a loved one that we have missed spending time with, or being in nature on that vacation we saved up for. There is so much to experience in those moments that you worked hard to get to. So let yourself experience it in its full expression. Because what if you thought about doing less and creating space for experiencing life as the actual whole point of life? That the doing isn't necessarily the purpose, it's the experiencing of what you've created. Does that give you the permission that doing less isn't bad or lazy or less than or deterioration, but instead doing less is your purpose? That your purpose is to enjoy and feel all of those experiences that you've built around you. It's the dreams, the goals, the manifestations coming into your life, into your full reality, and being able to experience them with all of your senses. Now, you might be hearing me right now and thinking, well, that feels really far from where I am right now. I don't even know how to start. There's too much going on. My brain feels chaotic. Well, hint, hint, in a couple weeks, I'm going to be sharing some announcements that will make this way more tangible for you. But in the meantime, something I often recommend is thinking of someone you have encountered in life that you have seen that is good at doing less. Someone that you've seen that is really good at taking in the moment, slowing down to feel all the things. Maybe it's as simple as that person you saw in a coffee shop that didn't have their phone out, didn't even have a book. They just were sitting there drinking a cup of coffee, and you could just see in their face their pure enjoyment of that moment. You don't need to know a lot about this person. So it could be someone you don't encounter often, or maybe you only saw them once, or maybe it's someone you just read about in a book. It doesn't matter because our brains are really good at helping us in this situation. Now, what we need to do is help to build a story in our brain of that person. How does that person move through life? What kinds of choices do they make? How do they spend their time? What things are important to them? And we are building a framework around what we envision this person to do on a daily basis to make it a point to experience life, to do a little bit less so that they can create space to experience everything that life has to offer. It can be really helpful to start moving us in that direction with tangible steps. So, if this is a feeling that feels far from you today, I would encourage you to do this. Find someone who you can help build a picture in your mind of what living with doing less looks like so that you can have some tangible things that you can try to incorporate a little bit more of doing less in your life. And as a side note, make sure you are keeping up with this podcast in the coming weeks because I will be introducing some other ways you can incorporate some new practices to help you work towards this as well. So I know today was short and sweet, but hopefully you felt a nudge of something new you can try. An area of life maybe where you feel like you now have the permission to slow down and fully experience this beautiful life that you have built for yourself, allowing your senses to take in the full experience of living the life you have today. It may not be perfect, but I'm sure you are actually sitting in the beauty of some dreams you once had that have now come into your reality. So sit in it, enjoy it. Sending you lots of love because even without doing a thing today, you are important and you are valuable just being you. All right, have a great week, guys. I hope you found something helpful here today on the Love Your Brain podcast. Maybe a laugh or a feeling of validation, or maybe just a few moments to have company while you do your laundry. Whatever you take from it, I hope you enjoyed your time and leave feeling empowered to be more you every day. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the next episode, and leave a review. I'd love to hear what you think. Have a great one.